Shabbat Shalom. We're going to start momentarily. I'd love to ask people to, we want to make sure we're socially distanced, but you can sit with the family that you came with. But otherwise, we want to make sure everybody's got masks on and staying 6 feet apart and stuff. So, thank you. I changed that, but I printed an old one. Your parent today. Sorry. I printed a new one, and they printed the old one for me. So,
Okay.
I'll just cue you.
Not a problem.
I'll cue you.
Not a problem. It's fine.
The little things. Shabbat Shalom. Come on, I want more energy. I've been talking to this empty void all year long, and now we are just getting people in here. And for the first bat mitzvah I've been able to do in 15 months with people in attendance, I say Shabbat Shalom, and I go, sure. All right, Rabbi. Let's try that one more time. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Now we're feeling the Ruach. Now I'm feeling the energy. That's what I like, because not only is today my favorite day of the week, Shabbat, but also this Shabbat is extra special because we're calling one of my favorite young people, Ruth Sigmund, up as a bat mitzvah in just a little bit. I know we got people who come in from near and far to be able to celebrate this moment with her, and I hope you're feeling as grateful today as I am. And so we're going to begin in our Mishkan Tefillah Siddur on page 186 with singing how grateful we are for this morning with Modeh Ani, or if you identify as female, Moda Ani. Modeh Ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayom shechazarta b'mishmati behem la rabba emunatecha. And by the way, we have some out-of-town folks. Where did you all come in from? Only one. Grandpa, you came in from Long Beach, right? I remember. So Long Beach, California. Great city, great aquarium, right on the water, pretty flat there in Long Beach, away from the hills and everything. And one of the things about here, you've gone from sea level to up here in the mountains right over here. And so for me, my favorite psalm since moving to Utah has always been Psalm 121, about how we can find God in nature and in the mountains and stuff. So I hope that while you're here in our beautiful city this weekend, that you'll be able to find some holiness in our beautiful scenery around us. And so we turn to 188 at the bottom for Esa Einai.
Esa Einai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai ose shamayim v'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai ose shamayim v'aretz. Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri.
Page 192.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani berov chastecha avo beitecha. Eshtachave lechal koreshecha beiratecha. Adonai ahavti ma'on beitecha umekom mishkan kvodecha. Vani eshtachave becha evracha lifnei Adonai osi. Vani tefilecha tilecha Adonai et ratzon. Elohim berov chastecha aneni bemet yishecha.
Now, I don't know if anybody experienced miracles today, but one of my favorite stories is about the great social justice and scholar and philosopher, leader, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. And Rabbi Heschel one day he was guest speaking in a church. And when he went in and said, "Everyone, I just saw the most incredible miracle." And they said, "Well, what was that?" And he said, "I saw a sunset." A sunset? Rabbi Heschel, there's sunsets every day. That's not a miracle. And what Rabbi Heschel told them was, "No, I saw the sun, and it went lower and lower and lower and then it disappeared, and the sky changed colors, and it got colder out, and then I saw stars coming out, and I witnessed creation. And I wasn't afraid because I knew that tomorrow the sun would rise again because I have faith. That's a miracle. And that's one of the things we're taught to do in Judaism, is to find miracles and holiness all around us. And so we turn to page 198, and if you're able to do so, please rise as we recall our daily miracles, the Nisim B'Hol Yom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sefrina lehavin vein yom uvein laila.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechim mitzadei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Malbi Sharumim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten la'ayef koach.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir shena me'enai utunmuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tselem Elohim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben horim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gevurah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
You may be seated. And this time I'd like to invite Zoe Dubiner, come on up here and lead us in an English reading. Zoe's one of Ruth's Hebrew school classmates. She wanted to give an honor to. So Zoe's going to read for us what we call the Elu Divrim She'en Lam Shior, but in case that's a mouthful, I often call these the top 10 ways to be a good Jew. And so Zoe, if you could lead us right here in this English reading, that would be great.
These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world. These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains for the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
Thank you. Amen. Thanks, Zoe. We turn now to Baruch She'amar on page 212. Baruch She'amar v'haya olam, Baruch, Baruch Oseh v'reshif, Baruch Omer v'oseh. Go ahead. Baruch Gozer Unkayem, Baruch Merahem O Haaretz, Baruch Merahem O Habriot, Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov L'Reav, Baruch Chai La'ad, V'Kayam L'Netzach, Baruch Podeh U'Matzil, Baruch Shemo. Baruch atah Adonai, Melech Mechulal Batish Bahot. Page 215, Ashrei. So So this is we're reminded always to be happy. Try and be happy at Shabbat and happy when we're together as a people. Shrei
ויושבי ביתך עוד יהללו חסלה.
Ashrei ha'am shekachalo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Elohav.
תהילה דוד, ארוממך אלוהי המלך, ואברכה שמך לעולם ועד.
Yehol yom avarhecha ve'ahol hashimcha le'olam va'ed.
גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
Dor l'dor yishabach ma'aseha, uvrotecha yagidu.
הדר כבוד הודיך, ודברי נפלותיך עשיך.
Be'zuz noratecha yomeru, utlacha asaprena.
זכר אב טובך יביעו, ובצדקתך ירננו.
Hanin v'rachum Adonai, erech ha'paimu do hased.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'asidecha yevarhucha.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
Ve'odia livnei ha'adam gevurotah, u'chlod hadar malchuto.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, ממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
So mech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, v'zokef l'chol hakufuvim.
עיני כל אליך יסברו, ואתה נותן לכם את אוכלם בעתו.
Poteach et yadecha, u'maspia l'chol ha'ratzon.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
Harov Adonai l'chol korav, l'chol asher yikreu ve'emet.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
Shomer Adonai yakovav, ve'ekol rashim yashmid.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד, ואנחנו נברך ים, מעתה ועד עולם.
Hallelujah. Page 218, Psalm 150.
Hallelujah, 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 El Bekodsho, hallelujah, hallelujah, Bekia Uzo, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. הגלו בגבורותיו, הללו, הללו קרוב גודלו. הללויה, 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 הללו, הללו בתי כף שופר, הללו, הללו בנבל וכינום. Hallelujah, 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 b'tov u'machol, hallelujah, hallelujah, b'minim ve'ugav, hallelujah, 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 בצלצלי שמה, hallelujah, hallelujah, בצלצלי תרועה. כל הנשמה תהלליה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה. כל הנשמה תהלליה, hallelujah.
Page 222, Shochenad, at the second paragraph.
שוכן עד מרום וקדוש שמו, וכתוב רננו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נבט תהילה. בפי ישרים תתהלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדוש. ובמקלות רבות המכבד ישראל, ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ולארצנו ואימתנו, שיר ושפחה, הלל וזמרה, עוז וממשלה, נצח גדולה וגבורה, תהילה ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות, ברכות ודורות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות הדול הנפלאות, הבוכה בשירי זמרה, מלך מלכי עולמים. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבם מברך, לעולם ולעלמי עולמיים. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו. לילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
What we've just done is sort of finished is sort of the warm-up part of our service as we are waking up and praising God. And now we're about to go into kind of the more meat of our prayer. And in order to do that, though, I don't know, Canterlope, if you and I have quite enough experience for all this. I think we might need some help. So I would like to call up Ruth Sigmund Terabima to help us. And also, I'd love to call up as well at this time Madeline Sigmund Grant Mindel, her Nana, to present her with her talit. Come on up here. And here, I can take that for 1 second. And I know, Nana, you were telling me beforehand, this is a very special talit and talit bag. Could you tell us a bit about this?
Yes, the talit was Grandpa Frank's, may he rest in peace. And it's tradition for Nana to make a talit cover. I want you to know, Ruth, with every stitch, and there were many, was made with love and pride and hope and gratitude to be able to share my life and your life together. Thank you.
Beautiful, Grandma. Thank you. And I know that that your grandfather and his memory is very much an important part of this day too. So, Grandma, I'm going to have you hold that here, and Ruth, you could take hold. And say the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu, v'dotiv, v'tzitzit. I am ready and willing to take on mitzvot as a Jewish adult. Today I affirm that my Jewishness matters to me. I promise to take seriously my Jewish obligation to care for others and to care for our earth. I promise to take seriously my relationship with the Torah even when it upsets me. I promise that I will never stop learning. When Moses stood at the burning bush,
God identified God's self as, I am becoming who I am becoming. God is always becoming something new, and so am I. I don't know what my future holds, but I will meet that future as a Jew. I will try to question, and I will try to love the stranger, and I will try to be grateful, starting right here, right now.
Amen. And Ruth, I believe this is the first time put on this tallit. And putting on a tallit as a sign, by the way, this was the tallit that was given to me when I became a bar mitzvah. And everywhere I go now, I've been to synagogues all over the world, and I put on my tallit. People see it and they know that I've taken on this new status, this new role. Not quite so new anymore, but that I have this status of bar mitzvah wherever I go. And so, when I've had happy moments, like my wedding, this tallit was a part of it, or when I became a rabbi, but also in really tough moments, this tallit has felt like a warm hug from God and everybody who helped me become a bar mitzvah as I prayed. And so since this is the first time that you have, fulfilled this mitzvah, as bat mitzvah, we would like to share a blessing for when we do something for the first time. Please join us in the Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Please rise for the Bar Fu, page 146.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai Hamevor. Baruch Adonai Hamevora Hamevora Leolam Vaed Hamevora Hamevora Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. We're going to turn now to page 231, and I'd like to invite another grandmother up here, Diane St. John, to give a reading for us. Actually, Grandma, if you could, there's a microphone right there in the middle aisle. If you could stand there and read for us page 231, where it says once or twice. Go ahead.
Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or a woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard, Lech la, go forth. God disturbs us towards our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming.
Baruch atah Adonai haboher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Page 232. Ruth, you could lead us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Echad. 234.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, Adonai Elohim, Amen. We're going to turn to page 239, and doing so, have a responsive reading at the top. And I would love to invite Grandpa Don St. John to lead us in that reading.
Emmett, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness, there is your word. Emmett,
the pin strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stirs the soul's passion. Guide
our sacred way.
True and enduring is Torah.
Your truth for us is certain and established, now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice.
And so let's sing and rejoice just as we did when we received our freedom from Egypt, our freedom from bondage, and hopefully one day, all of us, no matter what it is, that whatever our Egypt is, we've all had our Egypt before, we can find that freedom and be able to sing as well. And so we turn to page 240 and sing together. Mi hamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh. Shira chadesha shibechu geulim, leshimcha asfat ha'ayam, yachad kulam hodu, vehimlichu ve'amru, Adonai lo le'olam ba'ed, Adonai lo le'olam ba'ed. Sur Yisrael. Please rise.
Israel, uvtechenu mecha, Yehuda veYisrael, go aleinu, Adonai tzvot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Kal Yisrael.
Page 242. Go ahead, Ruth.
Adonai Sephatai Tiftok.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol
HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Omer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol
וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות,
Maot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ava, Mele Ozer Umoshia Umagid, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mehaye Akol Atah Rav Leoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Hayim Behesed, Mehaye Akol Berachamim Rabbi, Somech Noflim Verofe Holim,
ומתיר אסורים,
ומקיים אמונתו, אישי יפה, מי כמוך בגבורה, ומי דומה לך, מלך מימי ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. Baruch atah Adonai, Mehayeh ha'akol. We remain standing for the Kedusha, page 248.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וכרזב זה ויאמר,
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivot, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו.
אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, מעדיף שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור. לדור ודור. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. ושפחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם לעולם ועד. לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור. לדור ודור.
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue silently on our own. You can either continue to read through the Siddur, through page 260. The way the Siddur works is the blessings and such are on the even number pages, but if those don't speak to you, there's some nice interpretations on the odd number pages. Or you can use this as a time for your own thoughts and prayers and meditations of your heart. And when you're finished, you may be seated.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ויאמרו אמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We are going to turn now to our Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our Torah service, and that begins on page 362. You could jump there, and I'm going to need a little bit of help, so I'd like to invite the grandpas, Philip Sigmund and John St. John, to come on up here for the honor of opening the Ark. You can make your way up here. I'll cue you when to, you don't need your book. And we'll turn and cue you when to open the Ark, but if you could just come and be in your position. And also, I'd like to call up Mom and Dad to come on up here for the passing of the Torah as well. And because of all of our COVID guidelines, and we're trying to keep everyone safe, so grandpas, you can just stand over each by a door there. We're going to be doing a little differently. What we've been doing lately is not having a hakafa walking around the room, but that's such an important part of the bat mitzvah experience. We didn't want to deny Ruth that part. So, but it's our tradition typically to kiss our prayer books or kiss our talit and touch the Torah and all that. We're going to refrain from doing that today. Maybe you can just bow or nod or something to the Torah as a sign of respect without having to actually make contact. So the world we live in today. So Ruth, if you could please lead us.
Ein kamocha ve'elohim Adonai ve'ein kamahasecha.
Malchuteha malchut kol olamim וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך בטחנו, מלך רם ונישא, אדון עולמים. Please rise as we open the Ark.
Vayhi bin so ha'aro va'omer Moshe.
Kuma Adonai ve'afutzu oivecha ve'anusu misanecha mipanecha ki mitzion tetzei Torah ki Tzion, Tetzei Torah, Udevar Adonai, Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, Zedushato. Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. You have enlightened this path with the wisdom of Torah, giving it to the Jewish people as their particular way. Blessed are you, merciful One, who gives this Torah to the Jewish people. Be'ana rachetz, ve'lishmei kadisha, kadisha yakir. Stay right here. Naimar tushbeha, be'ana rachetz, be'ana rachetz, ve'lishmei kadisha, kadisha yakira, anaima tushbeha, yeherava. Be'oraita, Asli Mishali, Oh, Ruth, the Torah is our holiest possession. It was given to us at Mount Sinai by God. It was given to Moses, gave it to Joshua, who gave it to the elders, who gave it to the prophets, and eventually the rabbis took hold of it. And when the rabbis did, they've passed it among the people. And so, I hope you know there have been moments in our history where we have danced and sung with the Torah in joy, like this moment. And there have been moments as well where there have been outside forces and people who've tried to stop us from passing the Torah. Yet we've continued to do so because the Torah has this message of light that's so badly needed in the world. And so we're going to pass this Torah to your parents and then to you. And our hope is that you don't stop passing that Torah, that you pass it to future generations and spread its message of love and light to all whom you encounter. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shmo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Step down. Gadlu Adonai iti, uneromema shemo yachdav, lecha Adonai hagedula, hagevura, atiferet,
והנצח וההוד, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, המתנשא לכל ראש, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, השתחוו לאדום ולכיסא. Kadosh hu, Ramevu Adonai Eloheinu, Ishtachavu lehar kodesho, Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
And as we set the Torah down, you may be seated. All right, you can go take a seat for a little bit, Ruth. And our Torah portion today is from, oh, you want your folder? Hold on, I just, one second. Here we go. Our Torah portion today is Parsha and more, and we're going to be specifically reading from Leviticus chapter 22, verse 17 through chapter 23, verse 22. A million rabbi points to the first person who can give me a page number in the Eitz Chaim Humash. Let's see, it's probably right here. Page 722, I get the million rabbi points. All right, so page 722. And a quick thought on this week's Torah portion. Last week's Torah portion, Kedoshim, stated that all the people of Israel were holy. And in Parsha and more, it talks about how the priesthood is especially holy. And we don't really have a priesthood today in existence. Instead, we have rabbis. But really, the whole people of Israel can lead religious functions. And so with that, we, sorry, I lost train of thought. So with that, we need to all be our best selves. And I think this is kind of the idea of bat mitzvah. So for Ruth, I hope you're listening here, because really, I tell everyone that becoming bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, we often say that it means you're a Jewish adult, but you're not really an adult. Nobody would send a 13-year-old, maybe they might want to, off on their own and say you're in charge now of your own destiny. No, instead it means we're responsible for acting like adults and fulfilling the mitzvot and acting with Jewish values. And that's a message that very much comes through in the Torah portion. So I see Jackie up here. Jackie was invited by the family who so enjoyed her reading last week to lead us in our reading. And for the honor of the first Aliyah, I would like to call up brother of our bat mitzvah, Elias Sigmund. Elias, remind me your Hebrew name? Eliyahu. All right. So Ruth, you should introduce him as Eliyahu Ha'achi. That's a little Hebrew joke. All right. Yeah. Oh wait, do you want to call it first, Eliyahu? Ya'amod Eliyahu ben Moshe v'Devorah Aliyah Harishon. We're on Leviticus 22, verse 17. Go ahead, Elias.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el Aharon, v'el banav, v'el kol b'nei Yisrael, v'amarta alehem ish ish, מבית ישראל ומן הגר בישראל אשר יקריב קורבנו לכל נדריהם ולכל נדבותם אשר יקריבו לאדוני לעולה לרצונכם תמים זכר בבקר
בכסבים ובעזים, כל אשר בו מום לא תקריבו, כי לא לרצון יהיה לכם.
Elias?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yes,
Before
go.
we get to the second Aliyah, Rabbi, if you don't mind with this.
No, go ahead.
Last week, we had a very interesting section of the Torah in which this Torah Kohanim, the section, this whole book of Leviticus, which deals primarily with the priests and their responsibilities and their purity and the sacrifices and so on. We went off on a very interesting tangent, which then dealt primarily with ethics and morality. Here we come back again to the issue of sacrifices, and it begins with a fascinating one because it speaks to the fact that anybody, even a non-Jew who is among the Jewish people, is permitted to offer a sacrifice. This is not, necessarily common in many societies and many religions that a non-member is permitted to offer a sacrifice. That's one thing I wanted to point out. And the second thing is, which gets developed further, I'm not going to comment on that beyond this, is that the sacrifices have to be perfect. There can't be flaws in the sacrifice. You can't offer damaged goods to God with the expectation that it's going to be received kindly. You can take that on a moral level and a social level too. It's critical that if something is offered, whether it be tzedakah, righteous deeds, or money, or what have you, that it also be offered in its purest sense. I guess it means in modern days, dirty money shouldn't be used for charitable purposes. But in any case, I'm going to stop there.
I'm afraid you're stuck because I was also asked to comment a little bit on what I'm reading. And I was just going to add to that. If you think about what the rabbi said last week, that, we should be holy because God is holy, and that the whole notion that each being should be understood to be a holy person in God's image, you could then extend from the idea that everything that you offer God has to be perfect and without blemish, that in fact everything that you offer anybody, any advice, any action, anything that you do for somebody, you should do it as perfectly and as without defect as possible. And in fact, I'm about to read like every defect imaginable you can think of. In fact, words that I have never seen before, and I've read a lot of Torah. So, there's a lot of, but the point is, naming all of them is to say, you must bring the best. Not, I would say, again, extending from what the rabbi said last week, to everybody. Bring everybody your best all the time. Okay.
Thank you. And we are now on verse 21. For the honor of the second Aliyah, I'd like to call up Nana Madeline Sigmund Grant, Ta Amod. Nana, what's your Hebrew name? Do you have a Hebrew name?
Mendel.
Mendel. Do you know your parents' Hebrew names? Put you on the spot.
I don't. There was an Eliyahu.
All right, we'll go with Mendel by Eliyahu, Aliyah HaShenit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher barakabanu mikol ha'amim, v'natalanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'ish ki yakriv zevach shlamim l'Adonai lefalei neder olin davar babakar ovatzon tamin yeh l'ratzon kol mum lo yeh bo averet, o shavur, o charutz, o yabelet, o garav, o yalefet, lo takrivu ele ladonai ve'isha, lo titnu mehem al hamizbeach ladonai v'shor v'aseh sarua v'kalut nidava taseh oto uleneder lo yeratzeh uma'uch v'katut v'natuk v'charut lo takrivu ladonai be'artzechem lo ta'asu umiyad ben nechar lo takrivu et lechem Elohechem mikol eile ki moshchatam bahem muhum bam lo yeratzu lachem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher nata lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'chokenu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Yeshua, thank you. We are on verse 26. And do we assign anybody for Gabai's choice, or should I choose? My choice. Larry, can I give you an Aliyah? Larry Green is on our board and does so much for us. I'd love to give Larry an Aliyah. I haven't seen Larry in person in a long time, so makes me happy. Ya Amod.
Let's see. Aryeh ben Yaakov.
Aryeh ben Yaakov, Aliyah Hashlishit.
Baruch hu Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Before I read one more commentary, there's a lot that's interesting in what I'm about to read, but I think the most interesting thing is that you're not allowed to slaughter an ox or a sheep and its child and its son on the same day. You know, this made me think immediately of this very interesting moment in the Torah later on in Deuteronomy, where if you're going to take eggs out of a nest, you have to shoo away the mother, or if you're going to take the mother, you can't also take the eggs. Pretty much the same thing. And the reward for that is weirdly the same reward that you get for the only one of the Ten Commandments for which there is a stated reward, and that's honor your father and mother. The reward, of course, is that you should have a long life. So it struck me, perhaps in these days of worrying about our planet, that what is this long life we're being rewarded with if we make sure that we don't kill the mother and the babies at the same time and don't kill the father and the children at the same time? The reward, of course, is keeping the world going. You've got to have one generation. If you kill the children, well, leave the father so he can have more children. If you kill the mother, let the children live so they can progress. And this is the same way you honor your father and mother is by honoring the world they gave you and letting it continue on, treating it carefully, keeping it in a situation in which it can keep going forever. So it seems to me we can really read that about not slaughtering the father and the child at the same time as you know, a commandment to protect our planet, to keep everything going, you know, not to let things disappear.
The father and the child. It says specifically the father.
Yeah, right.
So I'll remind my wife of this in a few months.
There you go, exactly. And another thing that it says, just to reinforce what the rabbi was talking about last week, it then says, you know, you shouldn't desecrate my name. You should praise your name. You should praise my name. You should make my name holy, just as I make you holy. So once again, you see that this relationship to God is we're both sides of making the other side of the equation holy. And so again, it reinforces that if we do the right thing, this is a way of honoring God. This is a way of perpetuating God's holiness by behaving in a holy way ourselves. Okay, all right. I was asked for this, I'm sorry.
Love it.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Amen. Oh, I need glasses first. All right. Amen. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, שורו חסב או עש, כי ייוולד והיה 7 ימים תחת אמו, ומיום השמיני והלאה ירצה לקורבן אישה לאדוני, ושור עושה אותו ואת בנו. לא תשחטו ביום אחד, וכי תזבחו זבח תודה לאדוני, לרצונכם תזבחו. ביום ההוא יאכל, לא תתירו ממנו עד בוקר, אני אדוני, ושמרתם מצוותיי, ועשיתם אותם, אני אדוני. ולא תחללו את שם קודשי, ונקדשתי בתוך בני ישראל. אני אדוני מקדישכם, המוציא אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בזכינו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yeshikach, right? Yeshikach, Jackie, thank you for beautiful reading. And our next Torah reader is going to be David Asman, Ruth's wonderful Torah tutor. And for the honor of the fourth Aliyah, I'd like to call up one of David's very recent students and one of Ruth's classmates and friends, Gabe Plotkin. Ya'amod, Gavriel Yaakov Ben David, Ve'eliana Aliyah Revi'it. We are on, where are we on? 23:1? Is that right? 23:1. Chapter 23, verse 1. Go ahead, Gabe.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher barucha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
The section that we're about to read is read on holidays because it's a recitation of the various the pilgrimage festivals and the Shana and Yom Kippur and so on. There are 3 places in the Torah where we actually get mention of the various holiday traditions. Some of them, 4, there's one that's a very short one. One of them deals with the sacrifices and only the sacrifices. One of them gives a broader sort of thing. This one's kind of interesting because although it tells you very briefly what some of the customs are for the holidays, one of the emphasis here is on the agricultural segment and a focus on the fact that for most of these holidays there is an agricultural connection, and I'll mention one of them a little bit later on. We begin, first of all, with one that doesn't, and that's Shabbat. All our holidays begin with the observance of the Sabbath, because that's the core. The rest of our observances really derive out of how we observe the Sabbath. And this is one that God gave to us. The holidays, we discover later on from rabbinical perception, are something that we, the Jewish people, bring upon ourselves, whereas the Sabbath is something that God gave us as a gift. So that's where we pick up here, chapter 23, verse 1.
Amen. V'yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael va'amarta alehem mo'adei Adonai asher tikra'u otam mikra'ei kodesh elehem mo'adai sheshet yamim te'aseh melacha
וביום השביעי שבת שבתון מקרא קודש כל מלאכה לא תעשו שבת היא לאדוני בכל מושבותיכם.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes, God. Thank you, Gabe. Great job. All right. We are on verse 4. And for the honor of the fifth aliyah, love to call up Mom, Debbie Sigmund, Ta'amah, Devorah Bat-Dina, Aliyah HaHamishit. Devorah Bat-Dina, right?
Dina.
All right, I got it right. Go ahead.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'anim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
So we come now to Pesach, but if you notice, read carefully, you'll see there are really two holidays. There's Chag HaPesach and Chag HaMatzot. We don't really observe Chag HaPesach anymore. The Pesach holiday has to do with the sacrifice of the Passover lamb, its consumption and so on. We don't do it anymore. All we have left is Chag HaMatzot, and so we combine in the evening of Chag HaMatzot a reminiscence of the Pesach sacrifice, but we really don't observe that holiday. Here it tells us, it lays it out very briefly. Here is what happens in the month of the spring, the first of the holidays, Pesach and Chag HaMatzot.
Amen. Ele moadei Adonai mikra'ei kodesh asher tikru'u otam b'mo'adam. בחודש הראשון, ב14 לחודש בין ה40, פסח אדוני, וב15 יום לחודש הזה חג המצות לאדוני. 7 ימים מצות תאכלו, ביום הראשון מקרא קודש יהיה לכם, כל מלאכת העבודה לא תעשו. והקרבתם אישה לאדוני 7 ימים, ביום השביעי מקרא קודש, כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. We are on verse 9, and for the honor of the sixth aliyah, he's already up here. I'd love to give, the family would like to give David an aliyah. Ya'amod. What's your Hebrew name again, David? David ben Yisrael aliyah hashishi. Very Jewish name. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Amen. So here we get to, as I mentioned, so Pesach wouldn't seem to be an agricultural festival, but it is. It begins the harvest of the barley, which is the first of the cereal crops that come up. And we're told that we need to bring an offering of this barley every day up until 7 weeks have passed as an offering to God. The interesting thing is there was a machloket, a dispute between rabbis and between sectarian groups. What does it mean? Because it says you begin this b'mocharat HaShabbat, the day after Shabbat. Now, does Shabbat mean the first Shabbat during Pesach, or does it mean the first day of Pesach? In our tradition, the rabbis decided it meant we begin counting the day after the first day of Pesach, the first night of Pesach, 7 weeks to Shavuot. The Samaritans, who are a group that separated from Judaism, claim it begins on a Sunday. That's the day after Shabbat. And so they always celebrate Shavuot on a Sunday, which is very convenient. And maybe that's why Christianity adopted Pentecost on a Sunday. They picked it up from the Samaritans.
Maybe.
Those good Samaritans.
I gotta say, yeah, I was going to say, I've never met a bad Samaritan. Good people. All right, we're on page 725.
Amen. וידבר אדוני משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת להם, כי תבואו אל הארץ אשר אני נותן לכם, וקצרתם את קצירה, והבאתם את עומר ראשית קצירכם אל הכהן, והניף את העומר לפני אדוני לרצונכם ממחרת השבת יניפנו הכהן. ועשיתם ביום הניפכם את העומר כבש תמים בין שנתו לעולה לאדוני ומנחתו 2 עשרונים סולת בלולה בשמן של אדוני ריח ניחוח ונזכור יין רביעי טעים ולחם וקלי וחמל לא תאכלו עד עצם היום הזה עד הביאכם את קורבן אלוהיכם חוקת עולם לדורותיכם
בכל מושבותיהם.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת חיי עולם נטע בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yeshkach. I'll trade places back with you. We are on now verse, what is it, 16? Is that right? 15? 15. All right. And for the honor of the 7th Aliyah, I'd like to call up Dad, Matt Segman, Ya'amod, Moshe Ben, Mendel Feifel, Aliyah Hashvi'i.
Right. Baruch et Adonai Hambarak.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bakam Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'tanan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
וספרתם לכם ממחרת השבת ביום אביכם את עומר התנופה 7 שבתות תמימות תהיינה עד ממחרת השבת השביעית תספרו 50 יום והקרבתם מנחה חדשה לאדוני ממושבותיכם תביאו לכם תנופה 2 עשרונים סולת תהיינה 5 תאפנה ביקורים לאדוני והקרבתם על הלחם 7 כבשים תמימים בני שנה עופה בן בקר 1 ואלים 2 יהיו עולה לאדוני ומנחתם ונזקיהם אישה ריח ניחוח לאדוני ועשיתם סיולי שמחה וחטאת ושני כבשים בני שנה לזבח שלמים והניף הכהן אותם על לחם הביקורים תנופל לפני אדוני על שני כבשים קודש שיהיו לאדוני לכהן וקראתם בעצם היום הזה מקרא קודש יהיה לכם כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו חוקת עולם בכל מושבותיכם לדורותיכם ובצורכם כציר ארצכם לא תכלה פארצתך בקוצרך ולכת כצירך לא תלקט לעני ולגט תעזוב אותם אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'kayei olam natan b'tukenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Yeshua, thanks, Dad. At this time, we're going to turn our thoughts to those in need of healing of the mind, body, and spirit, and those who are in a period of recovery with our prayer for healing, the Mishaberach, which you can find on page 371. Debbie Freeman, want me to do it? Or you want to? And so, this week, we'll go ahead. Cantor, I know you have a list. Do you want to read your list first? Or let you read your list, then I'll read my list, and we'll compare notes.
Mati Tawa ben Rivka, Pesach Yaakov ben Yehudit, Eliezer, Mary ben Miriam, Elchanan Yitzchak ben Shimshon, Pinchas, Yonah ben Yemen, Shirdaya, Yisrael, Yitzchak ben Moshe, Rav Yosef ben Yemen, Rachel, David ben Chana, Amnon ben Savina, Yisrael, Bela ben Chavka, Sacha ben Sarah, Uvein ben Miriam, Shalom ben Beryl, Yaakov Elchanan ben Sarah, Michael ben Manya, Daniel ben Chaya, Tirza bat Sarah, Miriam bat Chana, Batsheva bat Chana, Golda bat Rachel, Gittaleh bat Mashachana, Shifaka bat Rachel, Chanaleh bat Nomi, Mariosha bat Fega, Malka bat Chana, Sarah Chava bat Daphne, Chana, Gila Chaya bat Leah, Miriam Tova bat Israel, Chaya bat Esther, Nomi bat Rivka, Roni Michal bat Nomi, Moriani Tzam bat Oni Michal, Batsheva bat Masha, Esther bat Malka, Miriam Chana bat Zeldekau, Shiradai bat Miriam, Shoshana bat Sarah, Dvora Shulamit bat Sarah, Yisrael bat Dana, Leah bat Florence.
And Aharon ben Avraham, Eliza Baorli, Esther bat Malka, Gitalea bat Masha, Hana Menachem, Mindel ben Toba, Michael ben Manya, Shaul, Mordechai v'Hana, Israel Isser ben Moshe, Yoshua, David ben Shaul, Mordechai v'Esther, Ethan Allison, Maureen Berry, Goldman, Sylvia Gray, Scott Hacking, Al Heitman, Sharon Hobbs, Sandy Kahn, Elizabeth Knight Crum, Megan Magleby, Jamie Manson, Tyler Matthews, Janet Moore, Shari Pedersen, Cynthia Pepper, Philip Rosenberg, Cheryl Rothenberg, Gary Rubenstein, Ina Sable, Penny Spector, Angela Stefani, Linda Stern, Dustin Wallace, Lauren Weiss, Judy Wolf, and Vanessa Zealot. And if you have a name to add, when I look in your direction, please feel free to share. If you have a name at home, I invite you to share as well. Our prayer for healing, Mishberach, found middle of page 371.
us of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu, mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shleimah, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Hatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma tivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chaye chon v'yom echon v'chaye dekol beit Yisrael v'agala b'zman kariv yimru. Amen. Yeshmei Rabbam barach le'alam u'lalmei olmaya.
Yitbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach, yitpah v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitahalal, shemei dekulisha berihu, leila miko birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alama v'yimeru.
Amen. Well, some people ask me, is there a moment really of bat mitzvah? Because really, I mean, it's like there's, we called Ruth up today, and Ruth has led our service, I think, and I've done this a few times, so I think I would know, a pretty good job. But everything we've done up until this part in our service, really, anybody at any age can do. Anybody can call page numbers. Anybody can lead a blessing. Anybody can even read Torah. But being called up for the honor of an aliyah, a blessing over the Torah, is something you have to be, of the age of bar or bat mitzvah to do. And this part of our Torah portion, which begins on verse 19, Leviticus 23, verse 19, that is called the maftir, the end part. And we reserve that for the person of honor. And in today's case, that's obviously Ruth. And so if there was a moment of bat mitzvah, I like to think it's this one. So watch carefully. Let's see if any change happens. I don't know. But we're going to call her up by her Hebrew name. And since this is a celebratory moment, you can join me in clapping and singing and celebrating Ruth. Tamod, 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 Ruth Liana, Bat Moshe v'Devorah, HaMaftira v'Habat Mitzvah. Yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, la, yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, 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 yalla, yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, la. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la. Ruth, lead us. The corner of your talit. Touch. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torto. Baruch Atah Adonai notein ha'Torah.
Amen. And wait, before you do that, I'd actually love to call Mom and Dad up here so they can be standing next to you. in this moment, too. They've worked hard to make this a possibility. So Mom and Dad, if you can hold the Torah open for Ruth, that would be great. Just come right over here next to her. That would be great. Go ahead, Ruth.
Hakohen otam al lechem habikurim tenufa bifnei Adonai al shnei kibasim kodesh yiyu ladonai lakohen ukratem be'esem hayom hazeh mikra kodesh yeh lachem kol meleket Avodah lo ta'asu chukat olam b'chol moshvotechem ledorotechem uvkutzrechem et ketzirotechem lo techale pe'at tzadecha b'kutzrecha uleket v'leket ketzircha lo telaket Le'ani v'lager ta'azov otam
Ani Adonai Elohim. And when you touch you, you'll kiss your corner of your toe. All right, close that up.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata b'tuchenu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. In this moment of you becoming bat mitzvah, Ruth, I'd love to give you a blessing. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech et Ruth Liana bat Moshe v'Devorah shegia lid mitzvot ve'alta lichvavod hamakom ve'lichvod haTorah ve'lichvod haShabbat HaKodesh Baruch Hu yishmereha ve'yachaecha ve'yochnen et liba lichiyot shelema im Adonai Elohecha lehagot betorato lelechet bedrachav ve'lishmor mitzvotav ve'yishlach beracha ve'hatzlacha ve'chol ma'aseh yadeha yizku horeha legadla leTorah u'chupa u'ma'asim tovim ve'timsa hen ve'sechel tov be'enei Elohim ve'adam ve'nomar Amen. May the God who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless Ruth Sigmund, who has come for an aliyah upon reaching the age of mitzvot with reverence for God, respect for the Torah, and for Shabbat. May the Kadosh Baruch Hu protect and sustain Ruth, helping her to be wholehearted in her faith, to study Torah, and to fulfill mitzvot, and to walk in God's ways. May her parents rear her to maturity, guiding Ruth to the blessings of Torah, if she chooses one day under the chuppah and a life of ma'asim tovim, of good deeds. May she find favor before God in this community, and let us say, Amen. This time we are going to lift and dress the Torah for the honor of lifting the Torah. I'd love to call up your brother Elias and just Mom. All right. And for the honor of dressing Torah, that's going to be Mom, Debbie Sigmund, for that honor. Ya'amod ha'magbia v'ha'golelet. Please rise. Zot HaTorah. Okay, turn around. Stand right there. Israel Agbi Adonai Le'Moshe. Okay, go sit down. Torah, 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 Tziva Lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva Lanu. Torah, 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 Tziva Lanu Moshe.
Torah Teinu, Torah Tzivah Moshe, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov, Torah Tzivah lanu Moshe, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov, Morasha Kehilat Yaakov, Torah Tzivah lanu Moshe.
All right, you may be seated. And thank you, Mom, Dad, brother. You can go back to your seats. And at this time, I would like to invite Ruth to give us her teaching on this week's Torah portion, which is her Devar Torah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Picture this. You're steering a trolley that's about to crash. You have two directions to swerve. Right, where one person is standing, unaware. Left, where a larger group of people are standing, also unaware. Where do you turn? Who do you kill? What's the right thing to do? Jewish culture is based heavily on morals, but not quite those thought experiments philosophers like to wrestle with. Jewish culture ties to virtue ethics, which consists of fewer hypotheticals and more ideas of characteristics we should have and how we should apply them to daily life. Less a stone set of rules and more a lifelong craft, constantly being practiced and improved. The religious side of Judaism, however, has its fair share of rules. My Haftorah portion, Ezekiel 44:15, features a set of rules one must follow to be a priest. Those rules include a few contradictions about linen, a ban from blue dye and unruly hair, and some heavier, pretty misogynistic rules about whom a priest can marry. The idea is that priests and authority figures in general should be held to a higher standard than the average person, that they must set an example for the people that look up to them, and they, to avoid blatant hypocrisy, have to follow the rules they push on others. I, of course, agree with this, but I also have a question. How do we decide what makes those people, and in extension ourselves, better? These rules speak of wholeness and holiness, but I don't know why an avoidance of blue dye would make someone either of those things. So, if the Torah portion is not a prescription of morality, what is it directing us towards? There's an overarching theme in the studies and practice of virtue ethics, habit. The philosopher Maimonides says that we do not reason our way to good character, we act our way to it, that we improve the powers of the soul through habits that find us balance. I could make the argument, then, that a lot of the rules in this portion aren't meant to be taken literally. The clothes, for example, may just be a metaphor for the habits that bring us closer to righteousness. Every piece of a priest's clothing is dedicated to and owned by the community he serves. So, every action, every habit reminds him of his community, and those habits, formed in his subconscious mind, make their way into his conscious thought, his body, and his soul. Are those rules about clothing to be strictly followed, or is there only a lesson to be absorbed? Our character is formed by our actions and our intent. Modern psychologists are looking at how morality manifests itself in the brain, and how it differs between cultures and environments. Haight's theory suggests that, even if there is some variety, how a young child perceives morality relies on at least these 6 systems: care versus harm, fairness versus cheating, loyalty versus betrayal, authority versus subversion, sanctity versus degradation, and liberty versus oppression. Even then, there are instances where loyalty isn't always the right choice, or where you shouldn't play by the rules. Is there a fine line, or is there even a line at all? Whether or not the choice was the right one depends on the individual and how they measure impact. It's all in the context. The moral of the story? Morality is a fickle thing, and these texts hold meaning in how you interpret them, how you apply them to your own life, your own mind, your own body, and your own soul. All of that means it's tricky to determine my own morality, what my values are, and when and how to apply them. After 13 years and some thinking, I know that I find a lot of my purpose in a sense of community. That's a solid, close friend group, a family bond, a religious community, though I myself am not that religious. Being in a classroom where everyone is laughing at the same joke. Being in an auditorium where everyone is cheering for the same thing. It makes sense then that my personal morality comes from community too, helping those around me and bonding, connecting with the people. That applies smoothly to Judaism itself, and especially the Jewish community we've built at Koloni. While I'm not sure where my Jewish path will take me, One moment. Technical difficulties. Someone took out a page. Uh-oh. Does anyone have it? Or should I just skip this part? Sorry. Yeah, that Jewish community and culture is, okay, I think we got it. Jewish culture and community is really important to me, and I look forward to helping at the temple and bonding with all the people here. In addition, I have a few thank yous to give out, so it's time to get a little sappy. None of this could have been possible without, first and foremost, my parents. They raised me in Judaism, but also gave me the freedom to decide what that meant for me. They've been supportive and a little nagging throughout this process, but I honestly couldn't have gotten this done without their nagging. Thank you both, and I love you guys. Next up are all the teachers at Koloni that I've worked with me in the past 3 years. I know I wasn't always the easiest student, but I appreciate everything you've done for me and every other person here. David Asman, my Trope and Hebrew teacher turned tutor, you have made everything so much easier and less stressful, and you are one of the kindest, most patient people I've ever had the pleasure to interact with and be taught by. Rabbi Samuel Spector, for what you've done for my bat mitzvah and what you've done for Koloni. This wouldn't be possible without you. My other family members, my grandparents who have been looking forward to this day for years, all the Bernies, a few Sigmunds, and everyone else watching from Zoom right now, I appreciate you guys so much. My grandpa Frank, who passed from COVID in December, your love of culture and of people inspires me to this day in my personal Judaism and in life. I know how excited you were one day to watch me do this, and I really wish you were here. My classmates at Koloni, while I don't know some of you super well, it's been a pleasure cooking and reading and learning with you. Thank you to everyone else at Koloni, no matter how little I've interacted with you, for being a part of this community. Thank you to my big brother, Elias. I know you've probably been waiting and wondering when I'm finally going to mention you. I'm not sure how I got an older brother. That wasn't mean to me, mostly. But I'm so grateful that I did. I can talk to you about almost everything. So thank you for being a part of my support system through some really tough times. And thank you for being one of my best friends. There are so many more people I could thank, but I'll leave it at that. So, happy Bat Mitzvah Day to me, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach. That was awesome. Don't worry about that page. So we are going to, by the way, I forgot to say this earlier because I'm a little rusty on my B'nai Mitzvah, but that deserved a clap for sure. But in our tradition, what we do is that when somebody does something really, really well, like chant Torah beautifully or teach us incredibly, what we say is Yasher Koach, which means way to go. And so I'm going to say that. If you want to say that too, because you agree with me, you are more than welcome to join in. Yasher Koach. That was such a great teaching, Ruth. Thank you. And we don't go anywhere, though, because you're not done. We're going to turn now to our Haftarah, which is the part of the prophets that coincides with the Torah portion. And Ruth read a good bit about the priests today, and this is also what our Haftarah is on, which is from Ezekiel chapter 44, verses 15 through 31. And you can find that in the Eitz Chaim Chumash here on page 735.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'mim tovim ratza v'direhem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai haboher be'oseh Batorah, Uv Moshe Avdo, Uv Yisrael Amo, Uv Indiei Ha'emet Batzedek. Ve'hakohanim Havim B'nei Tzadok, Asher Shamaru Et Mishmeret Mikdashi, B'it'ot B'nei Yisrael Me'alai Hema. Yikravu Elai l'sharteni v'amdu lefanai v'hakriv li cheleb b'adam ne'um Adonai Elohim Hema yavo el mikdashi v'hema yikravu el shulchani l'sharteni v'shamru et mishmarti V'haya bevoam el sha'arei hechatzer habanimi b'yidei fishtim yilbashu v'lo ya'alei aleihem tzemer b'shartam b'sha'arei hechatzer habanimi b'vaita pa'arei fishtim yu al rosham Umiknesei fishtim you el matnehem lo yachgeru vayazah uvtzeitam el hechatzer hahitzona el hechatzer yifshetu et bigdeihem asher hema meshartim bam v'hinichu otam V'lishchot hakodesh, v'lavshu, v'gadim acherim, v'lo yakadeshu et ha'am b'vigdeihem, v'rosham lo yigalechu, ufera lo yishalechu, kasom yiksemu, Et rashet hem V'yayim lo yishtu Kal kohen V'voam el hechatzer habanimi V'almana ugrusha Lo yikhu lahem V'nashim ko Em bitulo Mizera Beit Israel V'ha'almana asher toyeh almana mikohen yikhu ve'et ami yoru bein kodesh litchol uvein tamimei latachor yodeum ve'olriv hema ya'amdu Mishpat, v'mishpatai yishpatuhu, ve'et torotai, ve'et chukotai, v'chol moadai yishmoru, ve'et shabtotai yikadeshu. Ve'el met adam lo yavo, v'tama ko uvein uvat leah, ulachot. Asher lo chayta la'ish yatamau Ve'achere taharato Shivat Yamim Yisperulo Uvom Bo El HaKodesh El Hechatzer Habanimit L'Sharei BaKodesh Yakriv Chatato Ne'um Adonai Elohim V'haita lahem V'nichala Ani Na'alatam Ve'al Chuzah Lo titnu lachem b'Yisrael Ani achuzatam Hamincha V'chachatat V'cha'asham Hema yiklu V'chol Rei b'Yisrael lachem yiyeh V'reshit Kol Bikurei Kol Mikol Terumot Kol Mikol Terumot Nehem Lakohenim Yeh Bereshi Arisotehem Titnu Lakohen V'hanicha V'raka El Bichtecha Kol Nevela Utrefa Min Ha'o Umin Ha'hema
Lo yochlu hakohanim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Sor kol ha'olamim Tzaddik bechol hadorot Ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'osei Hamdaber u'mkayem Shekol devarav emet batzedek Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'ne'emarin devarecha V'devar echad midvarecha Otam lo yeshuv rekam Ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman hata Baruch atah Adonai
Urshma.
ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav
Amen.
Rachem al Tzion ki hi beit hayenu V'la'ulu bat nefesh toshia B'imhera b'yameinu Baruch atah Adonai
Urshma.
Misameach Sion b'vanecha
Amen.
Samheinu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'eliyachu hanavi b'havdecha Uv'malchut beit David moshichecha B'imhera yuvo ve'agel lebeinu Al kison lo yeshev zar V'lo yanchelu od acherim et kevodo Ki v'shem kitchecha nishpata lo Shelo yifu nero le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai
Urshma.
Magen David
Amen.
Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanve'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Liktiv shah ve'limnucha Lakovod ultiparet Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach Umvarchim otam Yivarach shimcha b'chol hai Tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai
Urshma.
Mekadesh HaShabbat
Amen. Semen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, semen tov, mazel tov, semen tov, mazel tov, semen tov. Yehelanu, 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 Oleho Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uleho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uleho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uleho Yisrael. One more big mazel tov. Mazel tov. Ruth, I know you've worked so very hard to get here today. Beautiful, beautiful chanting and Devar Torah, and you should be so very proud of yourself. I can see on the faces of all these people how very proud they are of you. But I have a feeling that these two folks in the front row here might be proudest of you, of anyone in this room. So stay up here. I want to invite your mom and dad up to share with you some words on the occasion of you becoming a bat mitzvah. Yeah. Matt and Debbie, if you could speak into the mic right here. Yeah, thanks.
Well, our dearest Ruth, a lot of people dear to us and to each other have tuned in for this rite of passage. And this little speech on the bimah at your bat mitzvah may be the one time that we, your parents, get to tell all of them what makes us most proud. We warned you it involves baby stories. So I hope that helps that you were warned. Okay, this one you've heard before, but they haven't. On our way to our favorite Chinese restaurant, age 6, maybe? Okay, you piped up from the back seat in silence. You know, to Chinese people, it's not Chinese food, it's just food. You know, simple and not. You, on our way to dinner, were working on seeing the world from another point of view. Okay, and you've heard this one too. It was maybe around the same time. A salesperson came to the door while we were on our porch. Masculine physique, feminine clothing and bearing, shoulders thrown back and an open smile. They stayed and chatted with us, answering all kinds of questions. They said that in the Hawaiian language there's a word for third gender and a role for third gender people in traditional Hawaiian society. And after they left, you and I went back to our gardening. Years later, I finally asked if you remembered that day. Yes, you said you remembered it. But not only did you remember it, but that encounter in your mind that I hadn't probed before, starting that day, you started to rework your binary thinking. Maybe boyness and girlness are arbitrary. You thought perhaps a person gets to and needs to learn who they are and be true to it. And if there's a disconnect between them and the world's conventions, maybe it's the world that needs to change. Years later, you've had to help us catch up to you. That day on the porch, I knew how to be curious and non-judgmental, but you have taught me how to transform.
It's very difficult to go at the end because I'm already cheering up. So now it's my turn. You know I'm not the baby storyteller of the family, but maybe the one who looks forward to the plan of the future. I'm not sure what you will want to be when you grow up, but I am pretty certain of who you will be. You'll speak up for what you believe is right. You'll be driven to protect others in the world who need it, and you will be a leader. You will do this with careful thought, compassion, and immense passion. It's hard to put into words how proud I am of your accomplishments that you reached today, but more importantly, the young woman you have become. It is in this most unusual and difficult year, I have, and I know we have, cherished getting to know you and how you have let us into the depth of the person you are and the depth that you have become. I love you and I'm proud.
Thank you, everyone, for indulging a pair of proud parents. And thank you, everyone, for helping us to reach this day. Shabbat shalom.
Oh, thank you.
Mom, Dad, we'll have you wait up here for a bit. We got some things to give to Ruth. I see a couple of our board members here. I see our incoming president, Greg Saunders. Great to see you. And I see Larry Green here. Thanks for all you do. Did one of you want to present the Chumash? Or I can do it. Up to you. Larry? Yep. Larry, come on up here, my friend. So this is a gift from our Board of Trustees. The idea is too, Ruth, I know this is a big day for you and your family, but really, as you've grown up in our school and everything, this is a big day for all of us. So Larry, if you could come over here and speak into the mic right here. And
how's that? Oops. Ruth, you have done your parents and your family and the community here is so proud. We really are indebted to your capabilities and hope that this will carry you forth. In that spirit, we're going to present to you your own personal copy of the Eitz Chaim with the Sam Shapiro warranty. If you wear it out, we will replace it, no matter how many times you need to replace it. And from all of us at the Kolami family, Mazel Tov, and thank you.
Thank you, Larry. And see, it feels like forever ago, but our most recent Ben Name Mitzvah in your class was your buddy Gabe Plotkin over there. And Gabe, invite you to share some words. You can either come up to the beamer or Mike, whichever you prefer. Sure.
All right. Let's do this. Dear Ruth, congratulations and Mazel Tov on becoming a bat mitzvah on this extraordinary day. It has been a great pleasure getting to know you over the past couple years, and you're always a fun classmate. I like how you are so easy to talk to, and you always listen to what someone has to say, even if it's something that you are completely uninterested in. And I say this because I talk about a lot of things that no one cares about or wants to listen to. Back when we did in-person learning, I had admired your passion and devotion for learning the Hebrew language and studying the Jewish people. Now, I admire your commitment to learning and studying even while online and distance learning and all that weird stuff. Becoming a B'nai Mitzvah is not an easy task. I can say this because I became one myself just half a year ago. You have put in an incredible amount of time, dedication, and effort to get to this point in your life, and I truly respect you for that. When I became a bar mitzvah, I realized that my journey as a Jewish person had just begun, and I hope that you can say the same for yourself. Now, becoming a bar mitzvah made me feel more connected to God and our community, but it also made me just a little bit sad. Due to the COVID, next to none of my family was able to attend my bar mitzvah, but thankfully, some of your family is able to visit and see you today, and I'm sorry that your grandfather is not able to be with us. I look forward to getting to know you more as you progress in your life and as a Jewish adult and bat mitzvah. Mazel Tov, your friend Gabe.
Thank you, Gabe. I agree everything you said. Appreciate that. And we have a gift for you here on behalf of your religious school classmates, and that is a Kiddush cup. And with this Kiddush cup, it has your name engraved on it and the date that you became a bat mitzvah. Really cherish this Kiddush cup. Part of the things that I do as a rabbi is I officiate at a lot of weddings, and very often the couple will use the Kiddush cup from one of their B'nai Mitzvah under the chuppah. And so I hope this Kiddush cup will be a part of more happy occasions for you. But also if you have a very difficult week, which sometimes we all have, I hope you make Kiddush with this cup and remember that you have this community here that really loves you and cares about you. And another gift as well from our synagogue is we have this Havdalah candle. Havdalah means separation. We light this candle on Saturday nights to separate Shabbat from our regular week. And with this candle, it's representative also of the separation of who you were before today, of not yet being a bat mitzvah, and who you are now going forward. And as Gabe beautifully said, this is not an end point. This is a new beginning in your Jewish journey. So these are for you. And I'd like to share some words with you too, my friend. So we
started talking last summer because you were like, I don't really know you. And I said, well, I don't really know you. Let's fix that. And we got together in the sukkah, bread apart, and immediately I was just drawn to you as you talked to me about all the world's problems and how we as Jews need to fix those problems. And I said to myself, this is a young woman who really is going to be a fantastic bat mitzvah, a woman of commandments and Jewish values, who is going to now go and take these values and try and repair the world. And so, anyhow, since then, we've gotten to know each other even better. We've talked to each other in really difficult moments for you and your family, and we've also had a lot of laughs and good times together. And over these past few weeks, I know you've worked extraordinarily hard, and that paid off. And you chanted so beautifully today. You've taught so beautifully today. And even when you went, oh, wait, I'm missing a page, you handled that as a bat mitzvah. You said, I'm going to be composed, find it, and continue. And that is exactly, you exemplified what that means to stand up here and act like an adult. And I'm so very proud of you. And so I hope this is not the last time we are together on this bima. In a couple weeks, I get to officiate one of my favorite services of the year, which is our confirmation service for our 10th graders. And I think that we would all benefit from having you continue in our program, go to confirmation and everything, and take those values that I know are so important to you and help make our community and our world a better place. And so on the occasion, and one other thing I have for you here is in case you wake up tomorrow morning and you say, did that really happen? That couldn't have happened. I definitely need to practice that maftir a few more times because that must have been a dream. Or somebody ever doubts for some reason that you became bat mitzvah. I have this certificate here that says that on this day here at Congregation Kol Ami, you were called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah. So mazel tov to you. And on this occasion, I'd love to give your family the priestly blessing, the oldest blessing in our tradition that we use for our holiest moments. Let's see, Cantor, do you want to do the Hebrew and I'll do the English? Stay up here. You guys can do like family huddle if you like. You do a line and I'll do a translation line, Cantor.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecho.
Ruth, our prayer for you is that God will bless you and always keep you safe.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneko.
And just as in coming to know you, I've seen this incredible light and kindness that you have in your heart. We hope that God will always shine light upon you and be kind and gracious to you as well.
Yis Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha
And as you go out now into this world as a bat mitzvah, I know you have a duty to make the world a better place, a place more reflective of our Jewish values. And our prayer for you is that God grants you the most precious gift of all, a lifelong journey that's filled with peace. And let us say, Amen. We're now going to return the Torah to the Ark, and we are in our Siddur on page 374. And I'd like to invite up the United Brotherhood of Grandfathers, as it says here, once again to open the Ark for us. And please rise. Thank you.
We're not doing second half of Shabbat. Just go ahead. Enter. Yeah, holla.
Page 374.
Mm-hmm.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו ארץ ושמיים, וירם כבן לימו. תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה. כי לך טוב נתתי לכם, תורתי אל תעזובו. עץ חיימי למה חזיקים בה, ותומכיו מיושב. דרכיה דרכי נעם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Let me close that. And you may be seated. And Mom and Dad, you go back to your seats. Ruth, you can hang out for just a second. I'm going to make some announcements for our community. So Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, everybody, for coming and celebrating with Ruth today. I want to acknowledge our board members I see present, Greg Saunders and Larry Green. Thank you so much for all you do to help our community, as well as our staff members that I see here as well. Danny Berman, our executive director, Lisa Kaufman, our office manager, and Tracy Plockton, our administrative assistant. You all work so hard and have worked very hard to make today possible. We're very grateful to all of you. And Chloe, thank you as well for being here to help supervise our B'nai Mitzvah students. And we, so some announcements. I just had it, where is it? Here we go. I want a big thank you to our service leaders today. Cantor Loeb, thank you for beautifully stepping in and helping us today. And also, of course, Ruth Sigmund leading us beautifully, and our Torah chanters as well, Jackie Oshro, David Asman, Cantor Loeb, and Ruth. Thank you for leading us so beautifully. Some announcements. Tonight at 7 o'clock in Esther's Garden for young adults ages 21 to 40, there will be a Beehives from Federation and Kolami young adult hangout. And so please register for that to attend. We'll have some schmoozing drinks and snacks, but please make sure you're wearing a mask, and we're going to be spread out outside, but it'll be nice to see you. There's a link in your email to register to attend. And so hope I see you at that tonight, 7 o'clock. And then and for those of you who are starting to do some gardening, our annual tomato plant sale put on by Ann Bernstein and Rochelle Kaplan is going on, and they are selling spring potato plants, eggplant plants, is that how you would say that? I don't know, and sweet pepper plants that you can order online and then have a contact-free pickup at Rochelle's home in Conwood Heights, and all of the proceeds benefit our religious school. And then as well,
we have only a couple weeks left of religious school. Speaking of which, our final day of religious school is May 16th, and at 10:30 a.m. there will be a COVID-safe party outside with a bird of prey show, crafts, jewelry making, scavenger hunt, and some no-contact games. And you can register for that. Please register online to attend that as well. And of course, wear a mask. And congregational Israel trip, if you want to go with me. And Larry, also, you're going to Israel, right, with me? And so maybe a couple others of you are too. I know so many of us had trips canceled due to COVID, including our Israel trip, but now we've rescheduled it, and it will be December 21st through January 2nd. Would love to have you come to Israel with me. It's intergenerational. All ages are welcome. And finally, it's so great that we're starting to open up again. So just a little note about next week. We are opening up for services again. However, we are limiting our capacity to 50 people. There will be an email coming out about all of this. And you must have received both COVID shots or Johnson & Johnson, if you got Johnson & Johnson, and be 2 weeks past your final COVID shot. And please, so on our website, there will be a place to register and upload a picture of your COVID vaccine card. Or you can email that to Lisa at officemanager@concolome.org. And once we see your card, we'll delete it, so it's not in our system, but check you off. And then when you come to our services, you'll get a lanyard with your name on it like this. And if you're a member of Colome, keep your lanyard, like put it in your car, and you need to wear that when you come here for services. That lets us know you've been vaccinated if you have a lanyard. And so, but we're looking forward to seeing you again. Again, you must register in advance no later than Thursday, so that we can make you a lanyard and make sure that we're not at capacity. So that will begin Friday night and Saturday. I actually won't be here next Saturday. I'm attending Lamaze class, so looking forward to that. That was the only day it was available.
Can I come too?
Yeah, you can come with me. Sounds good. You can help me with my breathing exercises. I'm afraid I'll be the one passing out. So, but please, so we look forward to seeing you again in a safe fashion. So anyhow, those are our announcements. Anything I forgot? All right, well, thank you all again for being here. And you can check in your email for our recurring programming. So, with that being said, we are going to turn now to page 620. Oh, and after we finish, by the way, please just leave your Sidurim and Humashim, leave your books where they're at, and don't put them back on the bookshelf. Our maintenance team will come and sanitize them on Monday. So, with that being said, we're going to turn to page 626 for Ein Kelohenu. Yo. Oh, you want me to mention that? I can mention that. That's all good. Yeah, so in case you don't check your emails or follow me on Facebook, then you're out of your mind, by the way, if you don't follow me on Facebook. Everybody loves my Facebook. Anyway, so as was mentioned, we are very excited that starting July 1st, we have a wonderful new cantor joining our community, Cantor Sharon Brown-Levy. We can formally announce. I want to give a big thank you to Cantor Loeb for all he has done to fill in this year, and our co-chairs, Bria Mertens and David Bruce, for all their work in the entire cantorial search committee. Cantor Brown-Levy is a delightful, wonderful human being, very authentically warm, and also an incredibly talented cantor, a lot of experience and a beautiful voice, and I know this community will absolutely fall in love with her. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you. So please look for as we draw closer to that, I'm sure there will be some opportunities to get to know Cantor Brown-Levy once she arrives,
as well as her husband, Eitan, and their son, who's becoming bar mitzvah in the next month in Toronto, where she's at Matan. Yes, Danny, do you want to come up here and please? Oh, thank you. And that is the thing I needed to announce. So, Danny, you need to be up here with me in Cantaloupe. Danny always is my right hand, making sure I don't forget anything. So, with Cantor Brown Levy, though, per our bylaws, we need to ratify her contract through a congregational meeting. So that is going to take place over Zoom, 7 p.m. May 11th. And so please register for that. The link is in the email we sent out about Cantor Brown Levy coming here. And if you're not able to attend, but you have a strong opinion one way or the other, as our people often do, we're very opinionated people, you can fill out a proxy form and email that to me, and your vote will be counted for that. But we need 50 congregants in order to have a quorum, so please register or send in your proxy form. Thank you. Danny, anything else? You sure? Going once. And thanks to our life control people who are helping us out today too, and the Salt Lake City Police Department. We are on page 626 for Ein Kelohenu.
Ein Kelohenu, ein Kadonenu, ein Kemalkenu, ein Kamoshienu, mi Kelohenu, mi Kadonenu, mi Kemalkenu, mi Kamoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, nodel Adonenu, nodel Malkeinu, nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
At this time, we are going to turn back to page 586 for the Eleno. And Cantor, I'll let you pick which one you want to lead us in. And for the honor of opening the ark, Ruth would like to invite a couple of her religious school teachers, Jana Zamir and also Chloe Laverson, to open the ark for us. Come on up. Please rise. 586. Good to see you, Chloe and Jana. Shout out to David, another one of our great teachers. Okay, please.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
At this time, we think of those who have come before, who are no longer physically among us, yet are always in our mind day by day. And this week, in the period of Shloshim, the 30-day period of mourning, we remember Marilyn Maybray, aunt of Hank Levine, Richard Urich, father of Carolyn Greenberg,
and Betty Organic, a former member of our congregation. And this week, we observe the following Yorkshire's anniversary of passing of these loved ones: Tima Agus, Daniel Bayev, Joe Park Beatty, Yefim Balin, Tatiana Braganskaya, Frank Braun, Charlotte Dane Brodkey, Isidore Cantor, Bernice Holding Carlisle, Fred Elster, Rose Filer, Karen Filstead, Cecilia Friedman, David Geldzoller, Kay Glow, Marvin Goldberg, Margot H. Grunstein, Emma Hellwing, Leon Label Hirsch, Harry Karasik, Fanny Karasik, Violet Katz, Mary Jo Knudsen, Ruth Lehman, Abbott Lipsky, Vladimir Miknovich, David Miro, Barbara Wynn, Grisham Navarre, Herman Audenheimer, Frankie Pratt, Bernice Rowe, Leo Rokich, Lena Rosen, Sonia Shaposhnikov, Leib Shimanovich, Fanny Boots Spitzer, Clara Teutsch, Ida White, and Mayor Zabel. And if you have a name to add when I look in your direction, somebody who has, if you're in period Shiva, 7-day period mourning, Shloshim, 30-day period mourning, Shana, the year-long period of mourning, or Yortzeit, you are welcome to rise and share that name with our community. And if you have a name at home, you're welcome to share that as well. And if you are in mourning or is your custom to do so, I invite you to rise. We are on page 598. Yitkada v'yikdash shemei rabah ve'alma divrach yirteh v'yemlich malchuteh v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayeh dechol beit Yisrael ba'agalah u'vizman karif v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevrach le'olam u'me'omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudashah. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nehemata da'ami ram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who are mourning comfort the bereaved among us. And again we say, Amen. Well, please wish each other Shabbat Shalom. And as we are about to conclude, we will turn to page 625 for Adon Olam.
Adon Olam Hashem Malach B'terem Kol Yitzia Nivra Li'et Nasav V'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kichlot Kol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hove V'hu Yihye B'tifara והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשיל לו להכפירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי ביצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום מקרא. בידו אבקירוכי, בעת אישן ויהירה, וימוכי גביעתי, אדוני ואלוהי.
love to invite Mom and Dad to come on up here, and Elias, how about you come on up here too? And Ruth, I'm going to hand this to you here. And if we could rise for the blessing over the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Take a sip. There you go. Good. And let's see here, Ruth. If we can join together as well for the blessing over our bread over the challah here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom and mazel tov. And if I can get the B'nai Mitzvah students to stay behind for a couple minutes, and everybody, please go enjoy your Shabbat and go celebrate. Shabbat shalom.